How did we get here? Two rival forces battling for control, starting in Khartoum and now like a virus infecting the country, leaving hundreds of dead, thousands injured, hundreds of thousands displaced, and the very real threat of the next proxy war. Okay, so before all that, we need to go back into the history of this place. Omar al-Bashir, a military officer who in the Second Civil War took over in a coup in the late 80s. Very soon after, he became a dictator, and to keep his reign over Sudan, he created his own military force, which is nowadays the Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF. A man named Hemedti led it.
He'll play a bigger role in this soon, trust me.
Now, the RSF was his most loyal armsmen and used them for control in Sudan.
Alright, so let's skip to 2015 because nothing else really matters.
The end of the Second Civil War has finally ended, and South Sudan has finally gained their independence. A win for them, but a massive loss for Sudan, because now with a chunk of their land gone, South Sudan also took 75% of the oil reserves, which also led to an economic drop, and like a seesaw, the prices rose. Meaning Bashir is no longer able to keep power because of this, and after a decade and 4 years, the civilians are done. Protests start in both of the armed forces, being the SAF and the RSF, see what will happen if nothing is done about it. So they team up to take down Bashir. Bashir now in prison, the SAF leader Burhan is now in control with Hemedti. Both of them are talking now and promise this now overtaken country that they'll give control to a civilian leader. But this promise was empty as they kept control and massacred any protesters. Quickly realizing this isn't the right thing, in 2022, Al-Burhan, the leader of the SAF, wanted to give power to the people like he promised years ago.
One problem arises though. The leader of the SAF wants the RSF to be folded into them so they're no longer an independent force. And this is where our story really takes off. Hemedti, this rich warlord, has just heard this. For over 30 years, he's been in control of this force and he helped take down a dictator, and this is how they're repaid. So he's not having it. So what does he do? Well, he looks in the past and repeats the same actions as Bashir. He overtakes the government.
On April 15, 2023, Hemedti sends over 2,000 men to Burhan's residence for an assassination. Now, Burhan is living in a military compound, so when Hemedti's men finally show up, there's a shootout, leaving 35 soldiers dead, while Burhan narrowly escapes. So now we have these two forces that are actually battling for who wants control over Sudan. This causes the conflict to spread to other parts of Sudan, and now civilians are found in the crossfire of all this. Egypt, Chad, and South Sudan are the only safe houses at this point, so they travel to these neighboring countries. And now what was this small civil war has become a war that almost everyone has their eye on. Why? Well, let's look at where Sudan is actually located. The Nile River goes through Sudan, which makes it essential for Egypt. It's also next to the Red Sea, which is home to 10% of the world trades. Not even mentioning the oil that is found in both Sudan and South Sudan now. With all that, we have these big countries now, Turkey, Russia, China, etc. now eyeing Sudan and deciding who to support for the best interest. Okay, so now we need to talk about the United Arab Emirates and their role in this. The UAE buys most of Sudan's gold, and almost all of it is from Hemedti and his business empire. While in the past, Hemedti has loaned them some soldiers to fight for them. But the UAE has also done the same thing for the SAF. So now the UAE has fed both of the sides and is kind of in a crisis. And then we have Libya, where this other warlord, Haftar, has connections to Hemedti because he has loaned out some of his troops to help Haftar in his battles. Now Hafar is paying back the favor with giving supplies to Hementi by sending him fuel shipments. So then why is Hafar so important in this? Because he can be used as the middleman for bigger countries. Matter of fact, it's already happening by, well, Russia.
Now, I don't want to go into more detail because I don't want to bore you all to death more. So, what's going to happen in the future? Right now, Russia is supporting Hementi through the middleman that is Hafar. Though I predict that Russia will switch sides to whoever was winning to support them more, as there is no real loyalty in this war. As for Sudan, I have two predictions. Either the two forces will come together and create a treaty to end this war, or one of them will eventually die, leaving the other one in power.